Well, let's kick everything off. Hey, everyone. My name is Brennan. I'm one of the co-founders at Wholesale, and today I'm talking about our latest channel integration, sales channel integration with Reebelo. So Reebelo is a marketplace that I think has been they've been in other parts of the world for a while now, but now they've moved over to the United States. They've got a U.S. marketplace. I don't know how long they've had it for. It's actually probably been up for a while, but we started hearing about them from customers and from the folks at Reebelo maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and wanted to get a standard sales channel integration like Wholesale's other sales channel integrations out, to be able to connect all of your inventory to your listings on Reebelo, your stock listings, connect your SKUs and quantities so that Wholesale can maintain that for you, and import orders, basically behave like our standard e-commerce integrations. So I'm going to be talking about that, the kind of core of how it works, showing you the setup of it in our demo account, and then that'll be our main focus today. So we'll get right to it. There may be actually 1 or 2 people on the call that are not as familiar with Wholesale. So for anyone that's kind of joined this call and is curious about using Wholesale, is not a current customer yet, basically the overview of Wholesale is that we started in 2018. It was founded by myself and my co-founder Harry. Harry and I have over a decade, coming up on a decade and a half of experience in the used phone industry. And so we built this software to solve problems that we saw and that we had in selling and reselling used cell phones. And so Wholesale is a specific serialized inventory and e-commerce software that's designed for all of the problems that people have selling used cell phones, tracking the phones by IMEI, updating attributes of the very many different conditions and grades that used electronic products can be in. And so we built this software specifically to solve those problems. And originally, back in 2018, 2019, we focused Wholesale on the kind of bulk, the problems that B2B sellers, wholesalers of these used products have. But in the last maybe 3 years or so, we've really kind of not shifted entirely the focus. We still have a lot of wholesale B2B customers that we like to support and that seem to love the product. But we've kind of adapted this world of e-commerce channels and websites and integrations. And so we found that Wholesale can be more and more valuable to our customers when we connect it to all the different platforms that they like to sell on, the marketplaces they sell on. Hence today talking about Reebelo, and to the other software that they use. So Wholesale kind of sits in the center of all these different tools that you use to process your inventory, to kind of use diagnostic software to test it, figure out what condition it's in, and then you process it through Wholesale as the main point in your business, and you sell it out through whatever marketplaces or B2B methods that you're using to sell it. And so Wholesale sits in the center, tracks all of the inventory information and the financial information to give you high-level analytics about it, and to give your team one solid place to do all of this work. So we've got all these e-commerce integrations now over the last few years of building them, and we've also got integrations with tools that we know cell phone buyers and sellers love to use, like Phone Check, QuickBooks for accounting, ShipStation for shipping orders, etc. So that's what Wholesale does if you're not as familiar with the platform. Obviously today I'm talking about a new channel integration that we have with Reebelo. And so this integration functions very similar to our other channel integration. So if you've used our integrations with Backmarket, Swappa, eBay, now Amazon, WooCommerce, or a Sellbrite integration, these integrations, this new one with Reebelo, they all function very similar to each other. Their whole goal is to connect however the marketplace is managing your listings and handling listings. You're able to import those listings into Wholesale and then connect them to the SKUs that you have in Wholesale, so that when every 10 to 20 minutes, Wholesale can reach out to these channels, and update the quantities of listings where the quantity has changed. So that's Wholesale's primary objective here, and the Reebelo integration works very similar to these. So if you're actively selling on Reebelo, this is live in Wholesale now. You can go and set this integration up. If you're not actively selling but you're curious to sell on the Reebelo platform, just let us know. You can either they certainly have a merchant onboarding process that you can go and find, but we have points of contact at Reebelo that we'd be happy to introduce you to. So I've definitely already done this at least once of making an introduction for a customer that we've worked with to the team at Reebelo to get their merchant account set up, and I'd be happy to do that for you if you're in that boat. So let's, we're talking about the Reebelo integration. Let's jump over to how you get there in WholeCell. So this is our demo WholeCell account that I've pulled up. You can see all these different integrations that we have: Swappa, Backmarket, Amazon, eBay, and now Reebelo. So if you're wondering how the integration works, this Learn More button will open our article about kind of setting up your account, which is basically what I'm going through on this webinar. So you can read the article if you've got questions, or have it open side by side as you go through and set up your account. But I'm going to just click on Get Started here, and that's going to take us into the integration settings. Kill our API key there, but basically you will get an API key from Reebelo, and you'll put it in here to connect your account. That's very similar to our other integrations. There's you can't, from your profile or portal, from the merchant portal on Reebelo's site, I don't believe they show you an API key or allow you to generate one. You have to work with your account manager there. So I just recommend reaching out to your account manager to retrieve that API key. Then you can come into WholeCell and put the API key in. And from there, you will see, if you've seen our other integrations, you'll see settings that are all very, very similar to our other e-commerce integrations. So you can, when you click Enable Order Import, once you save this, it will start importing any orders that are that you get moving forward. It will not retroactively import any of your orders, but once you turn that on, all of your orders from Reebelo will start importing into WholeCell. You can choose whether or not to import orders with the customer's name that came into Reebelo with the customer name, or you can choose to just have it say Reebelo as the customer. So that is really a point of preference for WholeCell customers. If you want to be able to search for an order by the customer's name who ordered on Reebelo, you can choose to do that, or you can just choose to have all of these orders under one customer called Reebelo. It's worth mentioning here that WholeCell has channels as well, so the channel will automatically be set to Reebelo. So you will be able to filter your Reebelo orders, even if you chose to import these orders by the customer name. You'd still be able to filter them by channel in the future and choose Reebelo as the channel that you filter them by. But this is just an option for kind of ease of visual clarity, if you will. And I want to mention again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to toss those in the chat. I'm monitoring the chat, and you can't turn on your mic, but you can put any questions in the chat, and I'll read them out loud and follow up. So moving along, order statuses. Reebelo is a simpler channel than some of the other ones we connected. They just have these 3 statuses. So you'll want to map, when an order is considered paid in Reebelo, what do you want that to mean in WholeCell? How do you interact with those orders? So I have it here set up in our demo account that a paid order on Reebelo is in ready to ship status when it imports to WholeCell. A canceled order will still import, but it'll import in the canceled status. And then we've obviously got settings for these statuses over in our kind of our settings page for statuses that talk about canceled orders. Do we want to count canceled orders against our quantity of inventory that we sync with our e-commerce channels? Probably not. If an order is canceled, you probably want to relieve that order from counting against your available quantity. And so that's one of our settings over in the status page for order statuses. And then their shipped order status, I've got mapped to shipped. And one of the reasons that these mappings are important is partially because they follow along your commitment pipeline as you're committing and fulfilling IMEIs on these orders that come in. But another reason is, maybe you have things set up where your orders import from Reebelo into WholeCell, and then WholeCell sends the orders over to ShipStation for shipping. That's our probably most common customer configuration. But maybe you don't. Maybe you're using some other shipping platform that WholeCell does not integrate with. And so you've got Reebelo connected to that shipping platform. And the reason you want these settings to be mapped, the statuses to be mapped correctly, is that if WholeCell will import the updated status, so say Reebelo sent your sales order to another shipping platform. You shipped and created a shipping label for the order on that platform. That imported back to Reebelo. It updated the status on Reebelo as shipped. The next time Wholesale talks to Reebelo, it'll see that that order has been updated to shipped, and so it'll update that for you in your Wholesale account. And that's why you want these settings to be set up in a way that makes sense to you, because every time these channels are connected to Wholesale and are syncing, we're bringing in the statuses. So if the status got updated from somewhere else, we're going to update the status in Wholesale as well. And that's how, I mean, we're happy to help you kind of plan out and figure out what pipeline here makes the most sense for your business. But these are why those status mappings are important. So those are the order statuses. This kind of encapsulates all of the settings relevant to the orders. And then you'd move on and you'd set up the set up the settings for how your inventory is syncing. So quantity sync, when you turn this on, it will start every time Wholesale talks to Reebelo, it will start syncing the quantities of your SKUs in Wholesale that are kind of connected to your listings on Reebelo. So if you've imported your listings from Reebelo, which we'll go over in a second here, you'll see that many of them import some. If they have a matching SKU, they will automatically connect, to your SKUs in Wholesale. And the moment that you turn this on, the next time Wholesale, at the next sync interval, when Wholesale syncs with Reebelo, it will update the quantities of those listings. So what we typically advise customers to do here is leave this turned off until you're sure, until you're positive that you have your listings connected to your SKUs in the way that you want them. And you can even look at those listings and those SKUs to make sure, okay, I have the quantity in Wholesale, or Wholesale is calculating the quantity the way that I expect and I want for it to connect with Reebelo and the listings that it's connected to. So we recommend you can leave this turned off as you kind of configure your settings, figure out how all of these things work, and then you can turn it on once you're ready for Wholesale to start controlling the listing quantities for the connected listings on Reebelo. So again, yeah, totally fair to leave this turned off until you have everything established in the way that you want. Then these are inventory statuses. So this next setting is about how do you want to kind of designate or separate your inventory between buckets in terms of what is being synced with your listings on Reebelo. So the most common two use cases for this kind of setting that we see is we have some customers who want to separate their inventory between the different channels that they sell on. So they'll say, this is stock that I want to sell on Reebelo and eBay. This is stock, or just Reebelo, they just want to sell one segment of stock on a channel. And then, so they'll separate it out between the different channels. For those customers, and if you're one of those customers, one of the reasons a lot of people use Wholesale is to combine all those segments. However, we totally recognize that some folks just operationally want to maintain those segments. So what we recommend doing here is creating an inventory status for each of those segments. So you could say Reebelo inventory, or Swappa inventory, or eBay inventory, etc. And then what you do here is you'd set this status to only it'd be scoped to your Reebelo segment. So only inventory that's in that status of Reebelo listed or Reebelo stock would be looked at by Wholesale. And then Wholesale's not going to look at any other stock in any other statuses. So that's one of the ways to segment the inventory between the different channels that you're selling on. We then probably the more common customer that we see is already doing that because that's what they had to do manually because they didn't want to oversell on different channels, and they're coming to us saying, right now we're segmenting stock between all the different sales channels. We want to combine the stock so that we can sell all of our inventory and have it cross-listed across all these channels, but we want to make sure we don't oversell. And so that's kind of the setting that you see here, where I've got an available status. I've got a bunch of pipeline statuses that describe different spots in the inventory pipeline as things are being tested, graded, repaired, etc. But then once items are moved into the available status, that's a single segment status that is, this is what I've got selected for all of my e-commerce integrations. And so what I know here is when we move inventory into the available status, then it's going to be seen by all of our integrations, and WholeCell is going to push that stock out to all of my listings across all of my e-commerce channels that I have set up. And so this is effectively how you do true correct multi-channel selling, is using a single status or a couple of statuses that describe different things, but using that as a single bucket to describe the inventory that you're sending out to all of your channels. And I think this is probably the most common way we see this instituted by our customers, but some that still want, I just want to make it clear that it is definitely still possible to segment your inventory per channel. You could even combine and make a hybrid of these methods. So you could have an available status that everything goes into one bucket, but then you could also have a Reebelo status. A reason that you might want to do that is maybe there's one particular channel that has specific requirements for battery health. And so you put all of your battery health stuff that's under 80% into that status to be listed only on the channels that allow you to list stuff that's under 80% battery health. Hey, Prince, got a chat. Prince, nice to see you. So that's one, just one case example where maybe you've got a separate segment. You have a main segment of inventory that goes out to all of your e-commerce channels. Then you have a separate segment that's only for certain channels. That's how you can set that up. So we've tried to make this really flexible for you to be able to use it in these different scenarios. And again, there's scenarios that we know are applicable mostly to cell phone resellers, because again, products can be in just so many different designations with this, the used market of electronics. So that status. Warehouse is a similar setting. It's a scoping setting. So if you have multiple warehouses, you can do the same thing. It basically serves the same purpose, except physically, if devices are in one physical warehouse, maybe you have an e-commerce fulfillment warehouse and you have a B2B warehouse, you probably only want WholeCell to be pulling quantities from your e-commerce fulfillment warehouse, or maybe not. We give you the opportunity to set those settings here. So that concludes all of your settings for Reebelo. We'll go ahead and save this. Now that it's angry at me because I didn't put in an API key and I deleted the one that was there. That's fine. Once you save it, you'll have your API key in here and it'll save correctly. Let's pop over to the listings tab. So once you've set all these settings up, even if you've left, order import turned off and quantity sync turned off, that's fine. You've got the settings saved and you've got your API key saved in the system. You can pop over to the listings tab and click on import listings. This will bring in your listings, as long as the API key is correct, from your Reebelo account. And you've got all these filters here to be able to filter for the listings that are connected or not connected, that are connected via SKU, et cetera, et cetera. And you can even do quantity or price greater than or less than to filter these listings out. Oops, I scrolled on that. Okay, so now that we're looking at our listings, what we immediately see is that all of these are not connected. So these listings imported into WholeCell with this SKU. This is the SKU that came from the listing on Reebelo, and the quantity that came from Reebelo, the price that came from Reebelo. But because this SKU does not exist in my WholeCell account, this item did not automatically connect. It is currently not connected. So just trying to make it abundantly clear, even if we had quantity sync turned on right now, this listing would not get updated. WholeCell is only updating listings that are connected to a product in WholeCell. So none of these listings, I don't think, if we select connected here, I don't think any of my Reebelo listings are connected. They're not. So I only have listings that are not connected. But for the sake of experimentation, let's go ahead and look at this listing for this iPhone 12 256 gig black. So when we open this, it opens to our listing settings in WholeCell, and we have the ability to manually connect this listing to one SKU, multiple SKUs, or specific product variations that we have in our WholeCell account. So you can do multiple product variations. So we could, for example, we could select product variations, hit save. Now it'll allow us to come in here and just search iPhone 12 Pro, what is this? iPhone 12, not Pro. So we actually don't have any iPhone 12 non-pros in our inventory. But like, for example, let's just connect this to any of these product variations. Let's do iPhone 12 Pro Max, A grade, and we'll not select any damage conditions, and we'll hit save. And what this will do Oh, unfortunately, we don't have that as a product variation. I'm going to use SKU instead, but you get the idea here that we can connect this to a specific product variation. Even if we don't have the SKU set up in wholesale, we can set it up to connect to a product variation. Let's match it via SKU instead, because I have a SKU in mind. We'll go over to my inventory. I know there was one that I was using to test back market, and I think it's BM test SKU. Let's look for that guy. BM test SKU. Let's see if I've got any there. I'll also pop this open in my product catalog to go see what I have. BM test. Yeah, okay, so I have BM test SKU 3 for this S6 Edge. Let's see if I search BM test SKU 3. Yep, cool. So I have at least a handful of these available for the sake of testing this thing out. So let's put BM test SKU 3 in here, and I'll connect this listing. This SKU that came in from Reebelo, we could delete it if we want, but we did not have that SKU in our wholesale account, so it did not connect automatically. But if we save this here, now it's going to connect to BM test SKU 3. And now, obviously, once we've connected an existing SKU from our wholesale account, we have a ton of information about it. We have the fact that we've got 79 inventory in stock. There are 66 inventory items that were sold on outstanding orders, and we've got 13 a stock level of 13 because of this equation. 79 minus 66 is 13, and we can even click on these items and see an IMEI listing, a serialized listing of these specific items in our array. So we've got this ability to see those things. And now if we go back to our listings, let's go back a couple of steps to our Reebelo listings. Pop over here. What we'll see, oh, and Mike told us he connected the iPhone 4 listing for us. Mike and I are signed into the same account. If we go to connected now, we've got both of these listings connected, and we have the ability to see specifically what they're connected to, what their quantities are at, what SKUs we have set up from the wholesale side now appear in this SKU box. So we have just more and more control over seeing these things and filtering for these listings. So now the next time, if I've got quantity sync turned on, which I don't right now, but if I enabled quantity sync, let's save this. Oh, I'm gonna have to fill out my API key. I'm gonna do that later on, but hypothetically say I did that. The next time wholesale synced with Reebelo, which again happens every 10 to 20 minutes, we're syncing with most of our e-commerce channels at 10 to 20 minute intervals. So the next time that wholesale connects to Reebelo and syncs, it will sync the updated quantity. This is the quantity from the channel, but if we go view this again, the quantity that we are currently calculating is 13. So it will go in and update that quantity of that listing to 13. And then as I have new sales orders come in for this SKU, from any channel, from Reebelo, eBay, Back Market, Swappa, Amazon, etc., WooCommerce, those orders will fill up this count of orders. So we'll see those orders populate here where they have an order for that SKU in whatever quantity, and that'll count against our current quantity and inventory and lead to a new stock level. If we add more inventory, obviously that'll increase this value and increase the stock level. And as we fulfill orders, if we use 9 of these 79 to fulfill outstanding orders, well, then the 9 would kind of leave both of these columns. So we'd get down to 70 on our inventory count, and we'd get down to 57 in our outstanding count. And so the stock level would stay the same, but we'd have a full live view of, okay, we've fulfilled 9 of the items across these orders, and our stock level is still the same, but this is how the equation works. So if anybody's got any questions about it, I know that can be a little bit complicated, but this is how the e-commerce equation works for all of our e-commerce integrations. So whether you're connecting to any of those channels that I just mentioned, if you're connecting to a stock listing that has multiple quantity, this is how that works. So you're also able to see, we don't have any sync history with this particular listing, but as we connect to this listing and as our syncs happen over time, you'll get a timestamp and the quantity that was synced, and you'll even be able to click on that quantity to see what orders and what IMEIs made up that quantity sync. This is one of the powers of WholeCell, is having this serialized capability to see which items are syncing with which of my listings. That other multi-channel tools, they may have been around for longer than WholeCell, they may connect to more channels than WholeCell, but they don't have that level of serialized information about what is connected to which listing, which IMEIs, which order items coming from different channels were connected to which listings. And that's something that you get for every single one of your listings in WholeCell. So that kind of covers the demo that I wanted to give, guys. I'm going to pop back to my webinar slides here and take us to the QA. So if anybody's got any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I will read them out as they come in. If we don't have any questions, I'll let folks off early to enjoy the weekend. But we've had a few people join since I started giving the presentation. Yeah, Uthman, nice to see you. Zuman, nice to see you. Hector, great. Thanks everybody for joining. Nice to see you. Yeah, same there. Great. Well, if anybody has questions even outside of the Reebelo integration, now is a decent time to do it. Laura clapped. Thanks, Laura. Laura's one of our partners over at PhoneCheck. And yeah, thanks, Laura. We're really appreciative of our integration with PhoneCheck and how that integration allows customers that are using PhoneCheck to bring over their information into WholeCell, and then using WholeCell, they can connect all of those items that they have in WholeCell to these various integrations with sales channels to keep things correctly connected in a true cross-listed multi-channel operation. Nancy asked, if we are not already selling on this platform, how do we start? Hey, Nancy, you can basically, I think that Reebelo has their own method for merchant sign up, but if you'd like an introduction from me, I'd be more than happy to send an email to our points of contact who do account management over at Reebelo, and I'd be happy to introduce you to them, which might kick you off on a stronger footing. I'd be happy to do that after the call. So if you don't mind, just shoot me an email after the call or now, and I will follow up with that and make that introduction. We certainly like introducing folks because it just comes with the existing relationship we already have with that channel, and those folks go into this relationship understanding that you're using WholeCell to manage your inventory, and their onboarding specialists can actually help you figure out, okay, these are the listings you have coming from WholeCell. They even know, I know that they've done this with other customers that we've worked with, that you can set up an inventory report in WholeCell that shows all of your current SKUs and quantities that you might want to sell on Reebelo. So they will help you get those listings created on the Reebelo platform. So yeah, we'd be happy to make that introduction for you, Nancy, and for anybody else that is interested in selling on Reebelo. We'd love to help you guys out. And if that's not already clear by our actions in this space, that is what we are so excited about doing at WholeCell, is creating more of these channel integrations that allow you to sell on more channels, and that keeps you focused on the core parts of running your business, testing the products with PhoneCheck, bringing that information into WholeCell, using WholeCell to manage the pipeline of any repairs that you do, any additional grading that you do beyond your diagnostic app, those kinds of things. And then WholeCell syncs all of this stuff to your e-commerce channels for you. So that's happy that we're getting to do that for more and more customers and on more and more marketplaces as time goes on. And I can't talk about new features that are coming out, guys, but we've got more marketplaces and some really exciting features of updates to our existing integrations in the pipeline. So stay tuned. I'll be doing more webinars about those over the course of, the next one will be in March. So I'm really excited about the stuff that we're going to launch, and just keep your eyes and ears peeled for the next one of these that we do. I think that's it. If anybody's got any questions, sneak them in there. But otherwise, I'm going to wait 10 or 15 seconds and then we'll wrap this one up. Again, if you're interested in selling on Reebelo and you're not already a merchant on their platform, shoot me an email. I will make an introduction to the account rep that we work with there, and you will be off to the races. So. All righty, not seeing any more questions. Thank you everyone for the time. really pleased to spend this time with you. Anytime that you need one-on-one time with us, we've got a meeting booking link that you're welcome to use. We don't charge anything for onboarding. We don't charge anything for customer service. That is how we like to do things. So we will spend as much time as you need to figure out how our software works and how the connections and integrations to other platforms works as well. So we're trying to be that for this industry. So thanks, Mike. Mike just shared that link to schedule a demo with us. Feel free to use that at your leisure anytime. We would love to chat with you. So I'll catch you in the next one of these. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.